watching GRTS and this is Face the Nation. I am Isa Jallo. This is the program where we showcase government ministries, departments and institutions and discuss their areas of operations. Today in our studios we have the Geological Department and our guest today is the Acting Director, Aliu Jao. He's the Acting Director of the Geological Department and he is accompanied here by a mining inspector, Yankuba Bojang. And we'll be talking about the Geological Department, its operations, and all issues surrounding mines and mining in this country. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, yes, sir.
I'll begin with you, Mr. Jao. We will begin to furnish us about the Geological Department. What is the department all about?
Thank you very much, yes, sir. The Geological Department is the government institution or department that is mandated to investigate the geological resources of this country. Every country is endowed with certain minerals, and it's the Geological Department that investigate, do mapping. Our core activities is the investigation, mapping, and the publication or development of data that showcase the mineral endowment of this country. Geology goes just beyond the mapping of these resources, but also the management of the extraction of these resources. We also do the exploitation part of it. We manage the exploitation. We are the custodian of the Mines and Quarries Act that govern the extraction of these resources. The resources are being exploited through an act which is called the Mines and Quarries Act. Basically, these are our responsibilities as a department. We want to do the mapping, identify where these resources are, and we manage the judicious exploitation of these resources. We all know resources, they are limited. As a nation, we need to manage it for future generations. Resources for sustainable mining, that's what the department is here for, the exploitation and management of these resources.
All right. As per your act, your mandate, you can't work without having policies and programs. Can you tell us some of those?
Yes, as any institution works through an act. As I said, we have a Mines and Quarries Act that guide and govern the process or stages that we take to exploit these resources. As a government, we promote the sector by investigating, mapping of the resources we have as a country. The first geological investigation or geological survey was done in 1929 by a British geologist called W.G.G. Cooper. He was posted by the then colonial masters to Ghana, then Gold Coast. They sent him here for secondment for a year program or 6-month geological exploration. And then most of the report he generated is still useful. Geologically is still useful. And then 100 years ago, he identified some of the resources we are exploiting today. So, and when the geological unit was established in 1929 as a unit, it also took it from there and developed some exploration programs, and that were executed by the government of the Gambia. And we also have assistance from China in 1995. A detailed geological investigation was done, and the mineral resources that we are endowed with in the country were identified, mapped out, and as a country we promote this by selling the information to outside investors through conferences, through the internet, through geological forums. And this is how as a country we were able to sell out the resources we have. As a government, we cannot do it all. We invite private sector. They also play a part. What we do is to identify what are the resources we have as a country and then sell it out to the private entities. And they will also come do their own, follow up to what we told them or what they were informed. And if they are interested, that's how we are now exploiting the resources we have in this country.
Now, what are those resources?
Basically, we can categorize them in geology, we have 3 categories. There are mineral resources, we call them reserve. There are mineral resources, we call them resources. There are mineral resources, we call them occurrence. Reserve are mineral resources when you did a geological investigation and you have evidence or proof that the resources is there. You can quantify it and economically it's mineable. You invest when you know that you will get the return. So if you do the geological investigation and the results pointed out that there is certain percentage, more than 50% the resources is there and is economically mineable, then it's called a reserve. Because that's why we call the central bank reserve. In other countries they call the reserve. You know it's there. Yeah. In other mineral resources, you know the occurrence is there, but you didn't quantify. We call that resources. In the country, following detailed geological investigation, in 1975, the World Bank sponsored mineral resource investigation in certain minerals like the clay in potential in this country. The mineral resources, the heavy mineral sand, people call it here black sand, the HMC was, as I said, reported in 1929. And subsequent geological surveys have all indicated the reserve we have, like the HMC, the heavy mineral concentrate. Principally, up to date, the only mineral exploited and exported is the HMC. We call them mineral sands because they compose of what we call ilmenite, rutile, and zircon. These are the 3 that constitute what we call HMC. They've been exploited in the 60s by the British company called British Titanium Company that briefly exploited the mineral resources, but the world market, due to world market prices, they were not. There was a problem. I think the price was very low in 1959 or 1969. That they turned to India. So they abandoned the resources or the HMC until around 1990 or 98 when an Australian company called Carnegie Mineral Gambia Limited expressed interest in exploiting the resources, and they were given what we call an exploration license. In the mineral resources, you just don't jump into mining. We start with exploration research. Even if there is a report, but you need to establish for yourself as a company whether actually what is being reported is actually there. So they went and applied for what we call an exploration license in 1999 to 2000. So they conducted detailed mineral resource exploration, and the results were favorable and they tested the market. Then the market was in China mainly. This HMC, the main market globally is in China. We have bigger nations like Australia, Mozambique, who are exploiting these resources. But the manufacturing companies are mainly in China. It's not as a choice that the Gambia is exporting there, but globally is the main consumer market for HMC. So they did their trial and it was favorable. They restart the HMC. There are other occurrences. We have, as I said, clay, which is also a very important product. We have it in this country. We have what we call glass sand or silica sand. It's used for manufacturing of glasses. We have deposits around Abuko, Dasilame, and in the North Bank. We have huge deposits of silica sand. That is a resources we've already known the quantity we have in this country. As I said, clay, these country imports a lot of tiles, roof tiles from outside. We need to develop our clay industry. These are resources that are very important in the infrastructural development of this country, and it's out there. We need to exploit the resource.
Right. Okay. I'll turn to Yankuba. We know that you've mentioned a lot of resources that are mineable in this country, but what we know more in this country is sand and gravel. And you are a mine inspector. Can you tell us the process of getting mining done?
The process of getting mining done, as I said before, we have a Mining Quarry Act that is formulated in 2005, but currently it has been revised. But there are a set of rules that one needs to follow in order to get the qualification to mine in this country. And among those rules are what we call the application form. That is a form that you need to apply. Write to the department, put in all the details that your company possesses, and also indicate clearly what you can do and what you can do. And also, your company must have to do what we call prospecting. The area or the mineral that you want to explore, you have to go there, check it for yourself, as Darero said, the occurrence, to see where exactly what you are looking for, it is in abundance and it is mineable. When you say mineable, it means whether it is valuable to be extracted for use. Then if all those are done, there is a format that we also do by referring you to the National Environment Agency for an EIA, because currently it is very clear that you cannot do heavy operations without checking the environmental impact of the area that you want to do the mining process. So when that also is okay, that has not guaranteed you will come back to the Department of Geology for further investigation on the application before you get the actual lands in to operate.
All right. How about involving the community in terms of deciding where mining can be done or not?
Yeah, we always involve the community because we need to have a form that is called the consent form. You cannot feel that without involving the community. And also we involve the community to know their stand about the mining, and also the impact is on them. Like if I'm mining in this area, the noise of the vehicle, the noise of the machine, the dust pollution and all not is going up to you. That's why in the laws we have what we call the social corporate responsibility. For that company operating within that vicinity have a legal binding mandate to serve that community on services that they need. It's not to say clearly that the company will do all that you want for them, but the social corporate responsibility will always play its role. That is why the community is very vital. And especially most important one is also that the decision making, we need it from the community, because you cannot go to somebody's area and do operations without their consent. And it is also very clear that the community owned the land, though the mineral was there before the community. But when the mineral was discovered, we realized someone somewhere was using that land either for agricultural purpose or for other purposes. But now you want to turn it to mining. That's a different activity. So the person involved and the community have a very important role to play.
What takes precedence if the community says, no, this is a piece of land and we want to sell it to estate agents and we want to build estates there, and that are supposed to be mine? I don't know who can answer that.
Yeah, it is very clear
yes.
that the law says all lands belongs to the state. But in as much as that is a law, we still have to go further to negotiate with them, because what we are avoiding is conflict. Because in any nation you want peace as the primary function of everybody. So in that event, we will go to you, not as the Department of Geology, but the company looking for the mining right in that part of the country. We'll go to the community to have that discussion with them. But certainly the mineral deposits reside in the hands of the state.
Yeah, I meant now, what takes more precedence? What's the power there? Is it what the community says, or what actually is going to be obtained from that? For example, if geology says this is fine, I think it's okay, environment says fine, it's okay, and the community says no. Yeah. What is looked at there to make sure that mining is either done or not done?
Yeah, I think, as he said, as a government, government try to balance. What we are advocating as a government is sustainable mining. As I said, we do assessment, resource evaluation to know what is there, what should be mined, and what should be left. And mining can be win-win situation. You can extract the resources and make the area available for other developments. That's what we are advocating for. Communities are important. The ECOWAS mineral policy is advocating for the community consideration when exploiting these resources. And our ministry have been, very particular about the community. And this government, I can say, have been very particular about community engagement. It have been advocating for community engagement, particularly currently what the ministry and the minister is pushing for, wherever money is going into, let the community be involved, let their stake be taken up. Some of the areas mining can be done and then the area can be restored. That's why we are advocating for sustainable mining. Before mining takes place, there is what we call environmental impact assessment. NEA plays a key role in that, and other stakeholders is assess whether mining can go on, and then the resource extracted, it goes to the infrastructural development of this country. If you look at the massive infrastructural development, both in the private and government, require huge resources in terms of sand, gravel, construction and material. And if you look at the areas we get in this, it's a very small stretch along the coast for the past, I can say, 50 years. But as a government, or we as a government or government department, we advocate for community engagement. And there have been improvement in that. Now, as he said, before, if a proponent applies for an area, all these things are considered, the community are engaged, and their stake is taken on board. In the Act, the Mines and Quarries Act, all resources reside with the state. It's the state that owns the resources, but who is the state? It's the people. So that's why communities are engaged at both government and the private sector. We encourage the private sector also to, consider or consult the community before they come to us. And that consultation is now being, upscaled to a higher level where it's not only the landowner, but the VDCs, the alkali, the chiefs are involved. And there is even now, they have MOUs with the companies. And we, as a government, will try to encourage companies to also, as he puts it, meet their obligation in terms of social corporate responsibility. As I said, the African Mining Vision, which is under the African Union, which was created in 2009, is advocating for the involvement of communities. The UNDP and the EU are promoting these resources because, particularly the sand, in the Gambia, our main resources is this construction sand. Is our gold, is our diamond. If we are harnessing these resources for the development of our key infrastructural development. Currently, if I tell you the demand for sand, there are a lot of government projects that are requesting or demanding this sand, private construction. So the demand for sand is high.
Saying it is enough. It's part of the problem why the some of the road construction sand going on. But before we get to that, let's talk about how cheap or expensive this is, because a lot of the people are seeing sand as being a very expensive commodity now. I don't know how you react to that. Why is it expensive? Is it the operators? Is it the truck owners? Is it geology? Is it NEA? Who's responsible? Who's making these prices go high?
The value chain of sand from the production to consumer level varies a lot, and we have a lot of middlemen playing in the center. So if you look at the government tariff at the production side, it has been there for almost 2, 5, 6 years ago. It has never changed, despite the system has been changing on the economy and in the whole part of the world. This has been remaining.
You mean the government tariff has never changed?
It has never changed.
Wow, okay, so...
But now, the problem is, from the production side on the government tariff, when it goes outside, you have so many middlemen. Currently, today, if you need a trip of sand, you don't go to the driver direct, you go to the middleman, and the middleman will send a driver. So that also increases the price. Definitely, the government have done enough to make sure that the price stays, so that Gambians, average Gambians can get this product, because it's a Gambian product, and construct. But because of this system that is in place, wherein the driver will have a middleman, and so many people at the tipper garage, asking for more, and the demand also on it makes the price sometimes go higher, because if 10 people need it and the supply chain is only one, it's always a problem.
Like if all of these middlemen are cut off the expenditure from source, how much would it cost for a double trip, for example? What is the tariff? One would be curious to know about that.
A double trip may not cost more than 7,500 to 8,000.
That is from source?
From source to delivery.
To delivery?
Yes, to the consumer's house.
What is government tariff?
The government tariff for sand in the inland is $220 per cubic meter.
Goodness me. Okay.
But that $220 per cubic meter has a lot of things that are involved. Right. That include the loading, that include the royalty that goes to the state, then include the company's shares. So if you look at the amount, it's very, very minimal. And if you go to the dredging where it takes in Banjul, it is $475 per cubic meter. Check the 475 and everything is involved, including the cost of fuel, cost of production, salaries, and all that, government royalties.
Okay.
But still, with those small prices, if it goes out, the market price, because we believe that there is free market policy in the country, so people sell their product anyhow they like. So that's another concern.
Okay, that means, for example, the truck owners will blame fuel, they'll blame, all sorts of things to put it there, and the distance will also count, to increase this thing. Exactly. But, okay, I think we are about to get to a break, but then when we come back, we go into deep detail into the causes of these issues, and then we talk about how we can remedy them, or in the local languages more. Are you watching Face the Nation? And I'm your presenter, Issa Jallow, and as I said earlier, we are here with the Geological Department and talking about mining and mining issues around the country. Stay tuned. You're still tuned to Face the Nation, and this is GRTS. I'm your presenter, Issa Jallow. Before we went to the break, we were talking about the issue of how expensive sand is, and I'm here with Mr. Aliou Jao, Acting Director of Geological Department, and Yankuba Bojang, who is a mine inspector in the same department. We will also be discussing these issues in the local languages. Badingolu mbalu kontona GRTS ni Face the Nation ati bi nak ni minube kachala bi wolem geological department min yalon ko wol marta sindro kunyal banko kam banko le mamberole mamfo munekumu banko kan wotolle martala ila acting director min be sirin ja wolem Aliou Jaoti ani min nata wolem Yankuba Bojanti mu mine inspector di be kacal min naje wolem kol min yalon ko ben banko dumala molu kaminu senke muna fangal membu ko bankol ni berol ni kunyal. Mr. Jao, now that we have this issue of how expensive sand is in this country, and we know it is an integral part of our development, from road construction to construction of homes, what is the geological department doing, or what are the issues now? What are you doing in trying to remedy this, to clarify issues as to why sand is very expensive or even scarce?
Thank you very much, Essa. And as my colleague have just said, as a government, what we do is to make sand which is locally available, affordable to the general public, to the consumers. That's why we control at the upstream, we control the price that is being, what the companies can levy on these resources on site. We have two types of sources. One is the inland, like the coast and the inland quarries, where we have one in Jiboro and Marakisa. The other is the sand dredging, what we call marine resources. And marine resources is a resource that we are opting as an alternative. As I said, the demand for sand in this country is exponentially growing. The demand for sand 20 years ago and the demand for sand currently is different. I can tell you that what we used to demand for month or for year is now what we are consuming in 1 or 2 months. So the demand have increased. We've seen the level of infrastructural development, both private and government. We see the road construction companies, as I said. The price have been controlled at the upstream level by government. When we are giving out licenses, we do the mathematics and say, okay, look, these are government resources. you are going in for to exploit. This is what we think is reasonable for the average Gambians, that it could be affordable for Gambian. And the company you are investing, at least to your take home, which checked all that, calculated, and then government also have what we call royalty. It's all in one package. The inland is, as he said, is 220 per cubic. The marine resources, that the dredging, which is very expensive in terms of the investment to do sand dredging, is 475. And that one also is being controlled by government. For the past 3 years, for the dredging, when we started this dredging, the price have been at 475 up to now. And the sand, the 200 or 220 have been in existence for 5, 6, 7 years now. But the market price of this sand, when it gets to the market, have been exponentially growing from, let's say, 6,000 on average to now 12,000, 13,000. As a government, we've engaged the various stakeholders, and a comprehensive survey was done on the cost of production, cost of transportation, cost of wear and tear, because the transport does also, they invest on their trucks, and they also need to at least have profit for them to be transporting this sand. A holistic approach was done with the stakeholders, and we were able to have a general, or acceptable rate that we think should be applicable, and we zone these distributing centers. Okay. And what we did was to look at the cost of sand on site and the cost of transporting it and wear and tear and the average market price. But we've seen that the price, as he said, keep increasing because we have a lot of sometimes middlemen in between the consumers and the source. And the more this chain is longer, the higher the price would be, because some drivers will just get the material, sell it to somebody, he in turn sell it. Everybody will want to have at least a share of the cake. That's why sometimes the price goes high.
All right. Let's switch on to the local languages. Yankuba, I don't know, comfortable in Mandinka. All right. Yankuba, mbeminka taka wala geological department la do koti nyim bankunkan. Nimba fola mole jama bal mole minu marta comme ni Kenya biol ni nyim bere singol la. Wala be soni ala pour mole sa faham no atol marta o kolbe la. Mbe kacha mi kan sayin tenten futata fanna minna wala nyinti ko sayin Kenya ni bero mole yaje ko adaka sele bake. Andun kumul ka folo ko la farol be fanna jamal la dol ka fu ko ma sakunda la fa dol ka fu ko mol min yalon ko wala ka sindro ke waranto ku jamal daloje naftali ya ye ko dol sen yandinye nyinto bari janni me futaloto ay safu mole ko alla geological department na doku fo mo munete
ya baraka bake en sa mbani ngol ba falale maninga kamala pour maninga kamoylal ya folo na doko men di geological department wala masakunda la bundale mi yalla nga tele marata mineral la banko kan anu kamana mineral fanna jamal la soro investigation o bije exploration o bije investigation o wala kiskisirote exploration o wala ka bondi yo nim bondro wato sita masakunda la loi buko ya landi nyame menga da Mines and Quarries Act 2005 safero ka kala safero mi yalla ko ay fannal men sote ko be kuma kala yebe ma faaw ko la lansino sina di la pour yo bondro yo pour ka kumo nyin sutande ne bondro nyim fanan commencé wafir dame ba bondi lala masakunda ka o dilal mi yalla nga katranna buko ko non ka fu buko me management plan company lansino so pour ka dogo department of geology ko buko dilale o buko nyin kete control la ke guide le nyanda wodo ko nyin kala nyame do ko lalme ba je ibe nyanda marra nyame nyanda safety so la nyame o be ka traw buko ko non bare problème be dabe ning abota woto masakunda la kamo be ka bunyale sila na findita woto kata molle be tema men fanan ka dala kan ka samba momin sulata la yo sayen tol fanan dal tafsi ba sandri sifa men wala men sulata buka son kata nyini aka kolle ke dro lafta fenkari la lafta berola wala lafta kenyola yemilul mano quality sila bun kono no comfort zone bela mo yalol plega wala fendo wo boyta tilo kono ayo mo sambe na ofana la koslaji wiyatinda kenyo da selata fata mbita nanel so kenyo tata to a point that mansala bunda ko ngafo nyamin diamo fulo angale kan wala oba notol bare budu na fundita woto sa tata kata mol kam min sula dal aka selen wala to waaw be mbarani
ali ada fo nyang kibik mita mujallati
kiwib mira ko nga fo ñani ata keño yimbe bo kam fara bulol la wala inland la manke ko wona baale kono cause ba kono keño bondo anin banko to keño bondo mi yalo nga man tra ba ko ni manke kilinde yo inland keño wolem dala si keme fula dala si moam kibik yo ni ata bo kan nam baale kono mbe ke kam ba ñun sante denten bridge pour na giberlani la mo sa fa ham wo mu dala si keme nani dala si tawworol anin lulle di kibikili
kibiko mosa haymano jella kibik jella se keno tripod kanto mola tripod lon double tripod single tripod
alors kibiko umbe kala tripod dependa moto men tara kama keso la volume mun jellati keso ka jellata moto ya ja keso ka sumanne ya ka suman formula ne o suma ya bay bal na nyin aka volume jellata wolum kibiko cause ala jamfo anala dinko anala fano ka direct multiplication lo neo ke ka lo ne volume jelle bi yo masingol men fanan ka lolul fanan ka suman nin kibi ko e baketol dolje don mo kibi fulaldi don mo kibi fulalin tol don mo kibi kilinati so ni de lafta kibi tanne la nin kibi kilim baketol la be tanne bi aba bi la fa sinya tan aya ke ko be kala kibi tanne
ya lon ni mol ka san triple mol triple on ya fo 6 wheel 10 wheel on ngol lon sa ni ko no kibi jelle lafta wala lon ne bo sa lon ko fo o ka san jelle
ya je 10 wheel fanan fadata bare tul ka fol don 10 wheel eka moje ay 10 bil ko dojo e 7 cubic bonga par 10 bil wala nati mo roni singo musin tannet eka doja ni the same price jo ila kenyo le be siala la kenyoti because mo rome ya nati de wala volume la war kar mo jama fa lambe nyindo ko kono e tol fa ko mo rome sambe mala kesolo bari ya lonne ko kabo cubic woro wala kata cubic tang nsawo samono bara cubic tan nin saba kata wata kunna na mo roko e tol drefol ko wolon bari kamen sambe tena e tol buka so na usman ni defana ye ki like banyul men ka suma yemen dile kata e wala sang ya sambena but along the road kilianol men ka nati de men ka frandi te ma momo nala ganye dala kamel la kan wayati na price o tamida nanel jama kan ko le office o kan nyini ga muna ne price o kata but ni ga explain e ga understand
ita sama la fanoje
fo nyamin don kibigo ni ka mezo wala 1 meter length 1 meter wide 1 meter deep motol nak ela volume a starter from hani 1 cubic meter moton dingol bije 2 cubic meter kata for 20 cubic meter so because of buka moto mezo anala size or single ntol on side ni tata bi sand dredging ika cubic male waf so ni ya fo nyami moto dol bije itol ika fole itol mu 7 cubic leti dolbi je 10 cubic bari ni lota ka moto nyin damala jato jube ibamira ibele kanyanta so ni tata sandre dula igava until after 7 cubic by 475 aning mum basan 10 cubic ibuka kili nyindo 3000 something nyindo be 4000 something le jola 10 cubic 4750 bari ni tata wafir dula ibe sa wafino dakli adum wata there is difference in terms of the volume of the material so wole consumers fana wole ke batande imalong motor la cubic muneti and as a government mba jube kan ka wof be regulate ka jube motor is a tag nina da ibalo na nyimu nangam le aka wole sambano aka munto ko cemento ni moto ko ndebe 10 bag le sambala nyindo ko 7 bag bar nal data waf albe ka waf da kilina fo consumer e boy o do e boy so wole be keri so motol nying ni tata sandidula itola volume already ikalon o machine le bije o measuring fenko le bije wo mu yanko ay capacity ya verify le stakeholders tata verify sand mining dredging bedami mbenga verify ko 3 cubic lem alawa ni am mezo so ika wole sang dolbi je ka fo lafta only 7 cubic la bari wata la moto mu 10 wheel de those are for lafta 10 cubic. So consumers will bukalo it all kam moto la warole jube. So woka mol batandi je bake bukalom moto ni hapo mumbije. Bari ni tata sandula company ika price ni ika fenko nyinkeje. Di volume nying ika risito mun dila ika volume nyinkeje. Bari wo risito buka fota consumer la woka dan drive da mal. So ite mumba sana ika fo don lafta 10 wheel o single. Bari motor la capacity as nga fo nyame from 1 cubic kata for 20. Bari na jama nak jang 1 cubic 10 12 akadam wolto. Nin 20 cubic wala nin motobal mun kata bero beton o samana from Senegal wala 20 cubic ti wo jama because of the train ikata dami ila movement ñu leatina buga futano dinkol kono. So wala dina ñi 10 cubic 12 11 wala kasia na marché okay kata ñi singulo. So bari consumer sol buka long ñi volume jelle bi je
okay comme aliya fo ñame dañi kala fa silo le kan janna be futala consumer ñenna bari fo ferol bi jele bang alba min jibe kan pour ka atinna kenyo waranto bero dama kolea be kolea min fo walle o silo do sol
wo nga fo ñam we have stakeholders very important. Tribal fana they have what they call the transport union, general transport union, the Tipa Garas union. We have the suppliers, they are also stakeholders because like the company mining this sand munka be is their product. So when it will ka di minna ado akata ika wafi minna market ko na mankili it will fana la concern them as government. We are also concerned what is ika soto nyaming ado ika wafi nyaming hapo le nyanta tralaje muyanko at least reasonably ila profit soto la ado consumer fanante wo kodiba jola muyanko amman ay munjo ay wo soto. Consumer protection BG, we are involved in all stakeholders now to see how best to bring a level playing field from the production kata for consumption. Okay. So Tipagaras are part of it. We are engaging them, the transport union and the companies that are mining these resources. Ibebe kafukanna ka jube mune nyanta. Mune nyanta wolem ko itela niwo isa soto. Driver anin mototio yela niyo soto bari consumer fana akana lanna tambu kodo jo muyanko amma abuka nafa soto like consumer la protection of fana important.
Abarka ba sansa muruko modo man bawo nga kuma kenyol la mole wala lomba kenyon mbero bari alla do ko la bunda fengol dol fana bijal kamenu jibe mol kam mol men se sinno banko kanja wala mineral element fo sol dolu fo no mole bayan
ko daleto ya fo nyame fengo dolbe banko kan me yalan ko department o ye kalamuta kayem fo men be daslame ka fa silika san kenyole me yalan ko ni extract isa use no ka werol deda mineral do fana bi jane ka fo mi ye clé wala mineral mi yalan ko mol ka use ka min ka ni potolti ka potrel deda men na jazz nyol and other things ka tailol fana deda wala currently ka fo nyame ne the demand for tile in this country because say mol ka wall tile fence all tile bungol tile so the demand is very high and menga ka product ko nyindi the tile itself is come from the clay banko e clay deposit so mi al department no la ko la dogo benya investigation that aspect of their mandate will be discovered. So we're looking for potential investors to get into that bilateral function that tile produce in our country and consume it in our country.
You will come in tile dalaram banko bijan.
Abijan.
I say most na no purse tile da financial tile. For sense essence do. Essence do battle ko fa mo do kan ko kumol mo yan ko essence banko kan fa be jelo ko bang fa be tintol to bam malo.
Geology abemu geoscience akamunta ko ni family lem isa so energy abemu one family ti geology sa fono okay because ibemu geology isa ka kiskisi and we have what we call the hydrocarbon wolem ni essence malafengol gas we have the solid mineral wolem sanol luluwol clay nga fo nyame potol be mu so a be mu geology is all within the geology family though essentially there's already we all know there's a petroleum commission we have a petroleum director who are responsible for that but all can answer that very well.
Okay, Sani, nimmo sindiro kete dawda mol kajel ko mantoro se keno jele. Yo kabri mola ya sindiro be kam banjul bala. Ay mo jamal jakel no bañi dredging min ka keje ka kenyo bonde je. Fo do ngali yamara ko senin samate je batandel bankantu ka banko bi nyamen je. Asike labe dinkala bake wo kola be se nyelu nim fengol dol tinya waranda se kukuta na fena mi yalon ko wala tinyaro nyin se waran na fañi te mala le mun
barka bake wo mu very important kuma important bake nga fo nyami what we nimba bi ka be fem bondi kan sustainable mining that is the slogan now nka munke buka dula jedrong ko nga mine particularly in dredging in mineral resources we have what we call exploration is two part exploration will give you the stage where you establish ya jenyi kenyon kamunje bada dena a bay was deposited through a process so what process nyin ka wala jube geologically mune deposita mune nyanta bondila amanke ko ibna dron ka bi we do what we call resource estimate nga fo nyami angala kangoto what we call reserve resources nka wokele nga jube mune latano because currently Banjul dredging mumbije it was not our first plan pour Kasambaje. There were studies commissioned by other institutions and established code. There's a lot of siltation is affecting the navigation of vessels to get to Banjul. So that's why it was targeted as the first spot to exploit. Wo san mumbije amanke ko abenun jele geological process le samana sama kono ikaji boroje hani kenyeb jama kana kadula dol suki hani nani drainage bedol kan akatale sama ka ji jamale material jamale samana ka is the agent tubabol ka fomiye atele mototi munka kenyo deposit so na deposit dami hani ba kono mi anko je manke ala sidulati aka some obstacle cause so because if you do the exploration ibalon na okay jang nying amount of sand will deposit for within this period let's say 50-100 years this agent have been depositing on the subsurface so geologically you will then say okay this is the amount that should be extracted not everything.
Alright. Sa man time jama soro be be suru akan do man len fulal bar sa anda fa nga min fo wala min ko sindrol ka dal min fananto mol be sirinje mol la dinkral mod lalde sa ni wo nyanta ka sindro nyanta ka keje alka o tamande nyaade la ni fana ningo tamandro sita ma sakunda nata min nyanta jibel fo sindro nyanta kala jele sa ni mol min be sirinje mun kanne be bulu dafto ye si fo so
ko ya funya me mol min be siri ngal diam folo nga itandila nyamen still abole nyama kango be bulle kango be ni sense that ko ecospace strategy ko to min nadika min director men volo nyindi ko mol la kango kuma yata bakele force aka mem bondi wala ka conflict bondi 100% because bala ko in mining away bang conflict damal because if there is conflict mining baka continue no so wala na mol la kango danni be mining kuma start loud la bango ka kuma yata bakel so government fanara role moment wala ka men so ko wo consent ni yebona wo mol bulu ko nyin ku kar men nyanta kala na dula kar hamolen anun sondala le prakiji wo ka control fanan kondan bakel
sa kumo do fotano ko wala cooperative social cooperative assembly ni mol bi ka sendro ke je ko do sen no community kam par sañi malon wo ka atole mum sember so waranta lek mum kanne sodije ni din ko ka sentel la kunkor mbele fala ko ni memba femba murana ndel nyanta jama so talje dolti malum ko ka balance nyaade le
work balance le very well ka ita min fam fango tam in the initial stage ka bring company be kaito nyini ka mansabulu anite ka MOU sotole ite min fam tam kunkoro wala na diam folo ngai tan dilako minaro le nata janni tabe kala jedi bar kabrin lafta ka minaro nyim bonni na discover ko ite fana me kunkolo ke kanje wala activity mi aleka income le generate je sa ning company sulota wala ka extraction o nyin keje sa na rete ka garden ne keje nim malin be ke te garden kenol so sa ite la life janta sustain na nyadile MOU me ka sa fe ning company tio ke te service wala as the operation goes on. So ibalete ke lo so wobuka company stop kala social corporate responsibility do ko nyinge kana sate kan.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll switch on to Wolof a little bit. Bokay ñu ngi leen nuyu fii si GRTS yéen a ngi seetaan Face the Nation te tey nag ñu ngi leen amal geological department ñu fi nekk te seen njiit bu xam ne mooy acting director bi mooy Aliou Diawo ak Yankuba Bojang mine inspector la ñoom laa fi edité pour ñu waxtaan mbirum mining xaw ma naka laa ko waxee si olof nag waaye loo xam ne lépp loo xam ne dañ koy gas muy suuf muy xeer muy or su fekkee ne am nañ ko muy caama moo tax ñu indi leen ma bëgg a laaj Mr Diaw mu tënkal ñu moom bunti liggéeykaayam lan mooy seen liggéey ñu wax ñu si lu gàtta par wax ñu mbirim tiba suuf mi.
jërëjëf Essa comme ça noo ko waxee rek géologie mooy bunte boo xam ne boobu day gestu lan lañu yàlla may lu nekk si biir suuf si lu nekk si biir suuf si nag naka ngay xamee ne lan moo fa nekk mooy nga gestu da ngay study da nga we do what we call forensic science la xam lan moo nekk si biir because gestu bu xóot te resource réew mu nekk lu la yàlla may sa resources boobu ngay use pour develop mooy nit ñi moom human resources ak natural resources soo gisee Afrique nag yàlla def leen may réew yu bëri am nañ natural resources like loo wax oil gold diamond waaye yooyu doo ko mën a xam soo defut gestu bi waaw Gambia nag lu ma la wax mooy gestu lu ñu am lu ñu yàlla may séddale si resources yooyu yàgg na in 1929 almost 100 years ago la ñu ko start the first bu ñu def mooy British geologist boo xam ne mu ngi woon Ghana time boobu moo fi ñëwoon mbiri juróom benn weer gestu lan lañuy réew mi am so mu report loolu so since then am na yeneen gestu yu ñu def locally si biir réew mi government bi geological survey bi def na so lu ñuy def mooy suñ gestoo réew mi yëpp gox bu nekk lu ñu yàlla séddale foofu dinañ la wax ne lii lañ fa am so suñ defee loolu ñu def lu ñuy def map ñu won xam nga soo defee Gambia map tey mun ngaa ne fii la base fii soo demee si map bi mun ngaa xam base fan la nekk
waaw
ñun resource bi tam noonu la ñuy def dañ koy def map soo ne góol fan la am si réew mi soo demee si map bi dina la woon fan lañ ko am soo ne ilmenite rutile mooy lu ñuy wax black sand bu ñuy gas fii di export mu ngi si map bi so loolu lañ dee def
waaw léegi comme que pour gàttal ñun lu ñu fi gën a xam li gën a siiw mooy tibam suuf mi ak xeer parce que loolu la ñuy def pour sampe ak defar yoon yi ak yooyu noonu fi mu nekk nii nag mbir mi nit ñi door nañ di jooy ne daf mu ngi cher mun nga ñëw waxal naka la loolu demee lu tax muy cher
waaw Essa wax nga nit ñi wax yàgg nañ di wax ne dafay cher waaye government ñun lu government bi def mooy ñoom dañ nit ñi moo leen itteel so government lu muy def balaa muy seer sax government fu mu nekk nii ñu ngi cabinet sax mun naa la wax ne ñu ngi seet fan lañ war a amee suuf next 30 years pour nit ñi gis nañ ne si suuf lañ dëkka suuf la ñuy use pour development tabax dafa am business yoo xam ne tey su suuf demut yëpp dinañ ta building construction matériel yëpp ngay gis nii su dee suuf bi demut rek so government is not tey la ñuy seet so government mu ngay seet naka la ñu amee suuf for the next 10 20 or so years so lu ñuy def mooy government dafa wax ne ok lii si réew mi lañ koy amee lii ku nekk war na koy am ku nekk Banjul war na koy am ku nekk fii ba Sibanor dañuy jëlee fii suuf yóbbu ko ba Sibanor so the farmer there su bëggee suuf war na koy mun a am.
waaw
so price bi. du government moo ko dee yokka price bi mun na la wax ne sand dredging bi currently buñ starté ba léegi 3-4 years. price bi dafa remain the same. ñun nu ñu measure mooy cubic meter. cubic meter bi soo seetee moto yu mag yi juróom-ñaari cubic moo ko dee feesal. te cubic bi mu ngi taxaw 400 ñeenti téeméer. ak juróom-ñaar fukk ak juróom. waaye su génnee foofu. luñ koy jaay si market bi def dee dem 8,000 9,000. di dem rek. so waaye government moom. ak compagnie luñ koy génnee di ko jaay. ñoom price baa ngi remain the same.
Okay, we've got just 2 minutes to go. I think we would need to wrap up at this point in time. Would you want to say something, Mr. Bojang?
Basically, I begin by thanking GRTS for the invitation. And it is good that we also come to the media and tell people what we do and what we have in our office. It's good that we are also informing the people about our mandate. Currently, we receive a lot of calls concerning the prices of various minerals that we need on our everyday lives. And today we made it very clear. I hope people listen to it and understand fully.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Jao?
Yeah, thank you very much. And as I said, the government, the ministry, and even the minister, our priority is to these resources to get to the last consumer in this country. We are trying to look at every stakeholder. What is your responsibilities? What is due for you from the production upstream to the downstream? That's why we are trying to manage, judiciously exploit these resources so that the Gambian farmer, at the end of the day, he wants to build with cement and sand. Not we've moved from molding from the mud. Now every village now, if you go there, they are doing away. So every Gambian needs this sand. So let's make it affordable for every Gambian.
Thank you very much, Aliu Jao, the Acting Director, Geological Department, and Mr. Yankuba Bojang, Mine Inspector. You've been watching Face the Nation, and I'm your presenter, Issa Jallo. We give you a rendezvous till our other week. Have a good night.